Meet Charles Schwab. He's the kingmaker of the Republican Party and the man who created Donald Trump. A billionaire who single-handedly took on Wall Street and won. The man who controls your finances, and you probably have never heard about him. The best part? He achieved it all while staying under the radar. However, recently things have taken a turn for the worse. One of his biggest investors has sold all of his stock in his company. People are worried that Schwab might be destroyed by the bank failures. So, join us as we explore the life of the man who controls your finances. How did he beat Wall Street? And will he survive the banking crisis? This is the story of Charles Schwab. Born a child of the Great Depression, Charles Schwab grows up in a cycle of despair. Schwab sees his parents' excruciating struggle to make ends meet and sees them come home exhausted and still anxious about money. He yearns for a better lifestyle and vows to work hard. He hopes to become rich one day so that he can help out his family. He's born a hustler, whether it's starting his own chicken farm, driving a tractor, or traveling to Chicago to work on the railroad. Schwab is up for anything. In his own words,
"Oh boy, there wasn't a job that I wouldn't take as a kid."
Though Schwab doesn't know it yet, he suffers from a disease. Everyone around him, especially his teachers, just think he's dumb. His parents are worried that he won't make it to college, but he puts his head down and works his way into getting an athletic scholarship to play golf at Stanford University. Schwab struggles to relate to the posh, old money crowd at Stanford. Out of place, he decides to devote all of his energy to studying. Schwab graduates with an MBA from Stanford and immediately starts his quest to make something of himself. After college, Schwab works at an investment advisory firm. Schwab thinks about what he could do to craft a future for his parents that they could only dream of. As he toils away at his job, he's exposed to the insidious underbelly of the stock brokerage industry. In order for people to invest, they have to pay fees to stockbrokers. These predatory fees lower people's returns and make investing harder for everyone except for those at the top. This means that most stockbrokers don't care whether or not they sell good investments to their clients. All they care about is earning fat paychecks. Often they sell their clients stocks they know are horrible. In the wild west of investing, Schwab realizes the greatest commodity is trust. He decides that he wants to start the first honest brokerage firm. This makes him very similar to the average megalomedia enjoyer. A world of endless career possibilities can be confusing sometimes. Which university to pick, what job to pursue, what qualifications to obtain on the side, and sometimes small decisions close career options for you and make it harder to reach the levels of money and power that, for example, Charles Schwab obtained. That's why I was so happy when Career Audit contacted me. They create a personalized master plan for your career, and they were founded by one of my friends, Steven, who has one of the most impressive CVs I know. Picture this: you submit your CV, share your professional journey and your career goals. You answer a couple of questions. The experts at Career Audit then evaluate your career and give advice on what steps to take in order to reach your career goals. The result? A career audit report exclusively tailored to you within 24 hours. It's not just a report, it's really a roadmap to your dream career. They map out every twist and turn, highlight potential pitfalls, and show you the shortcuts. It's your career success GPS. But they don't stop there. You also have the option to hop on a coaching call with one of the experts who's a perfect match for you specifically. And of course, Career Audit's team is comprised of extraordinary professionals from the likes of Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, JP Morgan, Blackstone, Google, Porsche, and more. And I'm happy to announce that I have joined their team as an expert too. So chances are I might take a look at your career journey too. As a gift to Megalomedia subscribers, Career Audit is giving a $50 discount code, making the career audit really affordable. Click the link in the description below to check it out. And as you know, I always suggest don't settle for mediocrity, but instead develop a bulletproof game plan for your career. And you can do that now and not in 5 years when it's too late by clicking the link in the description below. The discount code is MEGA50 and you'll be good to go. But Schwab begins with a baby step, a newsletter. He names it Investment Indicator and turns it into a trusted news source for the average investor. This newsletter is a huge success and at its height has 3,000 subscribers, which earns Schwab $250,000 per year, a nice sum for a 26-year-old. Determined to take on brokers, Schwab starts a brokerage firm and advertises it in his newsletter. It doesn't go as planned. Business is slow since, due to government regulation, Schwab has to charge the same price as everyone else. He's unable to have a competitive advantage, so people mostly just stick with their current stockbrokers. In fact, it gets so bad that after 1 year of business, Schwab's partners give up and sell their stakes in the company to him. But Schwab perseveres. He knows that the current system for buying stocks is doomed to fail, and he wants to be the one to pick up the pieces. Schwab waits patiently for his moment, and it comes with a new law. 1975 is the year when Congress finally cracks down on brokerage firms. The law allows brokers to charge their clients whatever they want to. Seizing the opportunity, Schwab declares war on the traditional stockbrokers. He makes radical changes to his business. First, he slashes brokerage fees to half of what they were before. He also stops paying stockbrokers in commission and gives them hourly salaries instead, ending perverse incentive structures. Schwab also makes it possible to trade stocks anytime, any place with a 24/7 phone system. Of course, traditional brokerage firms don't sit on their hands. They have the perfect plan to crush Schwab. Charles Schwab desperately needs outside investment in order to grow his business. Without it, he knows that he can never make enough money to help his parents out in their old age. In order to destroy his business, other Wall Street players gang up and refuse to give him any money.
We didn't have much money, and I had a tough time raising money because Wall Street certainly didn't want to help me develop competition for them.
This only furthers his resolve to make something of himself and prove all of his doubters wrong. Eventually his persistence pays off and he's offered the money he so desperately needs. Bank of America realizes that other banks won't finance Charles Schwab and decides to play hardball and buy the entire company. But not all is lost for Schwab. He cashes out his ownership for $53 million worth of the bank's stock. He also becomes the youngest member of Bank of America's board of directors at the age of 42, proving himself to be a certified baitman. However, tension brews in the background between Schwab and the Bank of America's management team. You see, Schwab's division within the company is doing fantastically and many outsiders see him as a rising star at the bank. Meanwhile, Bank of America is practically self-imploding and many analysts are criticizing their management team. Because of this, a fierce rivalry develops between Schwab and the Bank of America management team, with many meetings devolving into shouting matches. On top of all of this, the SEC is investigating Schwab to see whether or not he had used insider information to sell all of his Bank of America shares before they lost all of their value. Even though he beats the charges, he still wonders if Bank of America's management team is behind the investigation. After all, many members of Bank of America's management team hate Schwab, and who can blame them? He's younger and a much better businessman. To get rid of him, Bank of America offers Schwab a deal. He can buy back his brokerage company for $230 million, or around 4 times the amount he was paid for it. He has to use his entire life savings and borrow ridiculous sums of money in order to pull this off. As Schwab calls banks asking for money in the back of his mind, he wonders if he will be able to pay it back. But he does the deal anyway because he knows that it's the best he can get. Freed from the shackles of Bank of America, Schwab begins to find new ways to improve his business. After the Bank of America fiasco, Schwab begins to hone his craft as a business tycoon and discovers innovative ways to differentiate his company from his competitors. He starts seminars to help his clients make their own decisions rather than feel like they are forced to trust the advice of an unscrupulous salesman. Schwab's hard work and creative thinking finally pays off when in 1981 he enters the big leagues by gaining a board seat on the New York Stock Exchange. He can now sell stocks stocks directly to his customers rather than through a third party. This puts him in the big leagues of finance and turns him from a young upstart to an established and dominant player. 14 years later, his company becomes the largest discount brokerage in the world, with 1.4 billion in revenue and $200 billion managed across 3.6 million different accounts. Although Schwab feels unstoppable, he never forgets the biggest contributor to his success, his work ethic and problem solving. While other brokers dismiss the internet, Schwab embraces it, and this allows him to undercut his competition.
3 years into it, and I just knew that we couldn't continue doing it the way we were doing, so we found a company that we had a computer capability that we had in mind that would really put us completely online. But it cost $500,000. That was the entire net worth of the company. But I signed the contract anyway. I knew we needed to have that thing.
In the 80s, Schwab begins to sell mutual funds on a website and later on starts to sell stocks and bonds online as well. To top it all off, in 2000, he starts one of the very first mobile stock trading apps. This early adoption of the internet allows him to undercut his competition. While traditional brokers charge $160 per trade, Schwab is able to charge $39 and still remain profitable. But as Schwab's wealth grows bigger, he grows older. He's not the young guy he once was. Schwab has already accomplished his goal of being rich, so why not enjoy it? As Schwab paces over who to pick as successor, one name clearly comes to mind. One of his most loyal employees, David Potrock. David has been with him since the Bank of America fiasco and has remained one of his most loyal employees. He's always been diligent and excels at whatever job he's assigned. No matter what happens, Charles Schwab knows that he can count on David and trust him with his life's work. Both of them share the CEO position from 1998 onward. Finally, in 2003, Schwab decides to retire and enjoy the fruits of his success. On the outside, Schwab appears to enjoy his retirement, but internally, he yearns for conquest. One day at the golf course, Schwab receives a phone call that enrages him. David Potrock has increased fees and the company is in shambles, betrayed by the one man he thought he could count on. At the next board meeting, Schwab enters the room with a calm demeanor and a cold heart. He starts off by letting Potrock explain his actions. As soon as he finishes, Schwab chastises him. What had he been thinking of? Why had he jeopardized the security of every employee, customer and shareholder? As Schwab lays into him, he gets the board of directors on his side. By the end of the meeting, Potrock is fired and Schwab watches him leave. Back in control, Schwab swiftly lowers fees and promises customers that the company will never betray them ever again. But he now realizes two things. One, that he can't trust anyone else to run his empire.
I'm always sort of hanging around as the compass of the company. Okay. I keep pushing the people. We're going this way, it's north.
And two, that he needs power. Schwab realizes that in order to gain power, he needs political connections. He starts donating heavily to Republican Party candidates as they favor big business, and Schwab donates over $12 million. He donates so much money to the Republicans that he's even offered the position of Treasury Secretary.
Can't put everything in some trust and so forth. And I felt that this was my purpose in life.
As soon as Obama starts to run for president, however, Schwab fears that he will force a wealth tax upon billionaires like himself, and he decides to donate $9 million to anti-Obama groups like Americans for Job Security. Thanks to Schwab's efforts, Obama never passes a wealth tax. But when Donald Trump comes along, Schwab smells blood. No one else is willing to donate to Trump since they think that he'll be crushed by Hillary Clinton. Schwab just has a gut feeling about Trump. He knows that Trump's a genius marketer who can sell anything. He figures this will aid him in the upcoming election and donates $2 million to his campaign. When Trump wins, Schwab's favor to the Don pays off big time. Trump passes legislation which heavily benefits business tycoons like Charles Schwab, such as cutting taxes and easing restrictions on derivatives trading. Schwab even donates the maximum amount of money that he legally can to help Trump win his legal case against the FBI when they investigate him for colluding with Russia. However, Schwab's political relationships are entirely expendable. After the Capitol attack, Schwab is worried that his connections to the President Trump will impact his business dealings. He takes the drastic step of ending his donations to the Republican Party. Schwab also decides to change his image as a ruthless billionaire by donating to charities instead of politicians. But all is not secure for Charles Schwab, as deeper trouble is brewing on the horizon. In 2023, the banking collapses hit the world like a hurricane. Across the nation, banks are falling like dominoes, and many are worried that Schwab will be next. You see, Charles Schwab's company isn't just a brokerage firm, it also operates a bank with the same name. This bank's investments have gone sour, and customers are frantically taking out their money, taking Schwab to the brink of failure. The company's shares are plummeting at a rapid pace, and Schwab has lost over $2 billion. Management says that all is well, but others suspect that there is trouble brewing behind the scenes. The scariest thing is that no one knows what might happen. Schwab could come out on top, or he might lose it all. One of Schwab's favorite stories is about three men laying bricks. The first is asked, "What are you doing?" and answers, "Laying some brick." The second man is also asked, "What are you working for?" and he answers, $5 a day. The third man was asked the same question. He answers, "I am building a great cathedral." Throughout his life, Schwab always tries to be the third man. He doesn't just try to be rich, he tries to be powerful.